We got Michael B. Jordan, the director and the star of Creed 3. And, we know each other. We go way back all the way to Chad Science in Newark, okay?
Corny kid, right?
Nah, I did not say that. Misquoted for sure. No, you did not hear me say. I said we used to make fun of the name. But yeah, he is obviously killing things out here. How is the difference between you actually directing and working with the same people that you were directed with versus?
It was awesome. It's a family vibe. Yeah. Last 9 years of my life, I spent on the Creed films. They're very supportive. Tessa, Felicia, Rashad, Wood Harris, people that see me grow up. And for the fact that I stepped behind the camera and finally got a chance to direct them, they loved it, they embraced it, and it was a wonderful experience.
And was it difficult for you mentally because you're coming out of it?
You're now listening to a Bobby Johnson. Hey, my main bitch and my savage man, bitch. I get too for. I don't hold me up on each pink. I need to go.
Tune in to Too Much Media.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for coming back. If you are returning and if you're new, welcome to my channel. We like to discuss creativity, how to advance in your life, and overall self-mastery. Now, in honor of the new movie Sinners with Michael Coogler and Michael B. Jordan, I thought I decided to bring back this old clip of Michael B. Jordan that had gone viral, I think a couple years ago, who knows when it was, but this is a clip of him being interviewed by an old classmate of his that recognized him obviously because he's Michael B. Jordan, but didn't realize that he would recognize her, in which he confronted her for calling him corny. I guess at the time when he was younger, he had already had an early knowledge of what he wanted to do with life and where he wanted to go. And because he wasn't where he wanted to go, he had to embody where he wanted to be while he wasn't where he wanted to be. And oftentimes that is perceived as quite corny, you know? And so, I'm sure he was like quite bullied about it and made fun of because he knew what he wanted. And he's clearly in this video to me has held on to some resentment and some childhood wounds from spending so much time knowing he was meant for more, but not seeing the results of the more he wanted and having to face public humiliation constantly due to that fact. And you can see him kind of, take out that anger because although it's true, she probably did call him corny at the time. I am sure she was not the only person who made him feel less than during that time. So it feels to me as though he kind of took out all those years of like public humiliation out on her in that moment. Not to say he was justified or unjustified. I honestly don't care. If she did feel embarrassed and ashamed in that moment, she should. And if she didn't, also, hey, like when you could decide to confront somebody, you have to understand in those moments that you may be wasting your breath. You just might. That's why oftentimes a lot of people just decide to choose peace and using their own advancement and their own, level ups as their way to kind of, you know, get back at people because trying to tell them about themselves, sometimes it's a big waste of breath. You know what I'm trying to say? But he took his shot, he took his opportunity, and he decided, yeah, no, I'm not going to let us sit here and do the fake smiles and interviews as if I don't recognize you and remember what you used to say about me. And now that you're seeing me, you're trying to act as though you admire me and respect what I do and what it took me to get to this point where you're interviewing me not only about being in a movie, but also being the director of said movie. Oh no, I think I'm wearing my headphones. This might be recording bad. 1 second. And, that is like a huge thing. So she's, of course, going to act like, oh, my God, Michael, all of this. And he's like, no, not so quick. We're going to address this right now, And based off his intense response, like, the piercing eye contact, the outwards facing body language of, I'm not even gonna face you. You don't deserve my full attention. The shaking of head like, oh, no matter what you say, I know what I'm saying is accurate. It seemed to me like he still kind of held on to that a bit. Like, it seemed to me that he used that as the fuel to his work ethic and his constant determination to reach where he wanted to go, which, admirable, man, admirable. We got to clap it up for him, you know? Now he's also doing Sinners, which has been a huge hit. Everybody's talking about it. I haven't watched it yet, but I will. Let me know, like or comment down below if you want me to do a whole review on it. And what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So in this moment, you can see that in Michael B. And I just thought this was an important subject for you guys to listen to and take on and take a lesson from him as far as, a lot of times if you're in your creative journey, whatever that is, there is going to be often times where I'm sure you kind of feel like the people around you use your stagnation as a way to make you feel less than and embarrass you for being at a state at a still state, and through that we have the need for self-acceptance as a creative. When you are deciding that your journey is going to be one that is unpredictable because it relies on your own work ethic and your own movement and not the paycheck of another or the outside validation of others, you need an immense amount of self-acceptance and allowance for yourself and knowledge in yourself that you understand where the journey is taking you. You need to look at yourself and be able to say, look, I know you're not where you're going to end up, but even you in this moment is the person who's going to get me to where I want to go. You need to have respect for the version of you who gets the version of you later where it wants to be. This version of you is the grunt worker, the super armor person, the Clark Kent to your Superman, you're just Clark Kent. So everyone's just like treating you like you're no one. You just work at a newspaper. Who cares what you do? Who cares what you say? No one's worried about any Clark Kent. But at a moment's notice, you might need to be the hero and undo everything while you've been working at the newspaper, grinding at the newspaper, acting like everything's everything. One day you have to unzip your button up. You have to unbutton your button up, take off your glasses, and come save the day. And you have to know in your head when you look at yourself, of course I love Clark Kent. Of course I am respectful of Clark Kent because he's the reason I'm able to be Superman. Okay? At the end of the day, your final form is you as Superman. Your current state is Clark Kent. You can't disrespect Clark Kent because Superman can't just walk around the world peacefully. Superman can't just go to work on a Tuesday and meet Lois Lane and take her out to dinner and propose to her. Superman can't, be at peace when he's around the public. But Clark can. You being Clark Kent right now is what allows you the life experience to be around other people and take in what you need to be innovative, to make creative checkpoints, to make creative thought processes, to link all your ideas together. You need common modern day people in order to build your creativity. So even though people are disrespecting you or treating you away and you don't feel good about yourself, you need to accept yourself and be okay and be happy that because you're presenting yourself as Clark Kent in front of these people, it does allow them to disrespect you, but they don't even know that you're utilizing your knowledge of their behavior to turn into Superman, and you're the one saving them every day. Clark gets disrespected at that news office every day. No one respects Clark Kent, but he doesn't take it personally because he knows he's Superman. He knows that he could break these people in half with nothing, without even a thought. So he keeps himself controlled. And a big part about being creative is sometimes it is hard because we use our emotions to feed into our work. So sometimes when people are treating you away, you want to get emotional. You want to just snap. You want to just tell them about themselves. You want them to tell them about yourself. Do you know who you're talking to? Watch out. You know, you want to get all aggressive. I was even just thinking about that earlier on my walk. I was like, sometimes like the way people look at me, like it's like I can see in your eyes, like you're fiending, you're acting crazy, you're looking at me with such like I don't know, like Popeyes type thing. Like it's like I don't know what your intentions are or why you're looking at me, but I be just wanting to buck at folks. I be just wanting to buck at folks sometimes, but obviously I keep my cool and I act real normal, real demure, keep it cutesy, keep it calm. But when I'm alone, sometimes I just do random bucks for all the bucks that I wanted to do at people but never did. I just be bucking at nothing. I'll be like, what the just fuck playing with me. I'll be bucking at nobody. You might see me alone just but I need to do that. Like that's a part of acceptance. Me understanding that in those moments, I need to keep my calm. I need to keep my cool. I can't just be bucking at people because they're staring at me. But when I'm alone and I accept the fact that I was bothered by that I didn't like it, I do my own random bucks just to get that energy flowing out of me, just to release. Because honestly, my emotional state is not something I like to keep enclosed and keep trapped inside of me. I need to release it so then that way I can treat people like Clark Kent, like where I'm emotionally stable and you're incapable of moving me to the point of outwards reaction. Because a lot of times, something like how I just said, like staring or something like that, it's used to kind of entice you into that. They want you to do that. Like as a creative, you're gonna have to keep your emotions in check. Sometimes people understand the potential you have to do more and they want to see you act out of character in order to feed their ego that you're not who you think you are, you're not what you want to be, you're not getting anywhere, you're not this, you're not that. That's what they want you to feel. They want you emotionally at their hands. Like they want you to be emotionally malleable to them so that way they can change and affect you at a moment's notice. When they know they can affect you at a moment's notice, they feel as though they've won over you. So keeping that in check is going to be vital to your advancement as a creative. Try your best to keep your emotions at check. If that takes you doing random buckings when you're by yourself, do that. If it takes meditation for you, do that. If it takes everyday walks for you, do that. Like find what your recipe for emotional regulation is and make sure you hone in on it and never stop it and use it as a ritual to keep you stable as you continue on your journey. This is not something that is it's not a plight for easy. It's not an easy plight. It's not an easy thing for you to go through. It's very difficult. That's why very little people choose the path you're on. You are singular to this type of vision. That's why you're the only one who sees what your work every day is taking you to. You're the only one who understands why going in the conventional route can't get you to where you're kind of trying to go. Being a creative is kind of like off-roading life. It's like life clearly has roads. You can pick any roads you can follow it. But when you decide to be creative, it's like off-roading. You're trying to get to a road that doesn't have a road to get to. You have to go through grass and terrain and all types of muck in order to get to it. So you can't allow these things to move you, okay? You have to figure out your own recipe for success. Something I wrote down today that someone said that I really touched me and even helped move me to make this video was the saying, I wrote it down. Where did I put it though? Oh, was the saying, self-acceptance is not self-stagnation, okay? So just because you accept yourself as you are does not mean that you're gonna stay the way you are. Oftentimes people do not want to accept themselves because they want more for themselves. So they feel as though self-acceptance will keep them stagnant as the version of themselves that they are currently. But that's not what it means at all. Self-acceptance is to allow you to not be stagnant because you're okay with yourself, because you see the worth and the value in the version of yourself that is presented today. You're able to continue increasing and evolving and impersonating the future version of yourself. It's not stagnation. It's what allows you to be able to move at a faster, quicker, and more persistent rate. So make sure that you practice some sort of self-acceptance today. Pick a part about you that you don't enjoy, that you don't like, that you struggle to accept. And today, find a good reason why that exists for you. Find a way where this can be a help to you. How is this thing that you're not accepting about yourself low-key a superpower of yours, you know? I'm sure it's very hard every day for Clark to have super strength and have to walk around lightly touching things. Every day he can probably just break something by barely touching it and struggles not to. That's something that if he didn't accept that he's just so strong that he can accidentally break anything, he would tear himself apart. So, I just want you guys to continue doing what you're doing, regardless of what it is. And I want you to be happy with yourselves because the version of you today is a superhero. The version of you today is saving the future version of you from having to live a life of regret. Imagine if the version of you today didn't say, no, I'm not going the conventional route. That future version of yourself would have to then be living in a conventional type of setting or in a life that doesn't feel fulfilled and just sit in regret all the time because you didn't decide to power up today. But because you did decide to power up today, to continue your creative journey, to continue being who you know you are, now the future version of you gets to say, thank you to my hero. And your hero is you. That's the only person coming to save you. You have to also understand that. I don't want to start sounding redundant, so I just want to cut it off here. Thank you guys if you stay to the end. I fuck with you. And also, please like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. I'm trying to build a community here of like-minded people who are creatively motivated and trying to self-master. So thank you.